Hello again, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of This Week in the World of Football. Our first video edition of This Week in the World of Football in a long time. This is episode number 380 for January 21st, 2025. I am your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, the Ohio State Buckeyes are your 2024 college football national champions. The NFL's Final Four is set, and the Canadian Football League finally release their 2025 schedule. But I'm not here all by myself. Across town from me today, as always, is my son Adam.
Yep, I'm always across town from you. We came down with the sickness, the ick over here, so we're just kind of playing it safe, and it's cold as heck. It was like 3 degrees.
Oh, man.
So, yeah.
It's a wind chill of negative something.
Yeah, so we just figured, hey, let's just play it safe. Let's just record like this for a change and just see how things go. So you get a different version of the podcast this week. You actually get to see our sad faces as we talk about our beloved Detroit Lions at some point.
Yeah, thanks for making me shower and shave to do this. Usually on Tuesdays, I don't have to do that. It's just audio, so whatever.
Yeah,
here I am.
You look way better than I usually see you on Tuesdays.
That's true. Yeah, and I had to break out this classic T-shirt. Come on, Detroit, just one before I die. I thought I was going to retire this year, but oh no. We'll talk about that here in a minute.
Yeah.
We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. We also have timestamps down in the description of both the podcast and many of our YouTube videos, so you can go right to the topics you really want to listen to. You can also find our podcast in its full audio form on our YouTube channel. Just search for the World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle at the World of Football in the search bar. We have over 500 videos on our YouTube channel, with videos like our weekly NFL picks, the division round, which got posted last week, and Just Lying Around, a Detroit Lions podcast featuring Kyle and Adam, where they did a preview and a recap of the Lions versus Commanders game. Yeah, get at your crying towel for those videos. Let's see. In upcoming videos, we've got our weekly NFL picks for the conference round coming up in a couple of days, so be on the lookout for that.
Also, don't forget, we did, yes, I made a short based off of Kyle's preview video. Yes. If anybody missed that, Eden, my sister, was messing with her cats while Kyle recorded. It was caught on camera, and it was pretty funny, so I had to turn it into a little short. So,
yeah,
you missed it. It's got cats.
It had 100 views within the first half hour or so that it was up, and I'm surprised it's not one of the top cat videos of the month.
It just didn't catch on. It's okay, but it just cracked me up enough to where I was like, I gotta embarrass Kyle somehow. Here we go.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that was fun. Your mom and I watched that video, and we had a good time at the very end.
Yeah, I had no idea about it. Aaron's the one who made the comment in the comment section, like starting at 9:05 or whatever it was.
Right.
And I jumped to that, and my girlfriend and I were watching, and we saw what all the fuss was about, and we were cracking up.
Yeah, at first we didn't know what was going on, and then it becomes obvious what the cats are chasing after.
Yeah, but I was talking to Eden actually, and she's like, I've been waiting. It was either she was waiting to do something like that for a while, or it was, she's gonna have to wait a while before she does the next, whatever the next thing is.
All right. Well, let's begin our weekly tour around the world of football, and we're going to start off this week with the College Football National Championship game. Yes, this took place last night. I'm sure everybody saw it. But number 8, Ohio State defeated number 7, Notre Dame, 32-23. I know you
34.
Had picked 24. Oh, I wrote down 23.
34.
Yeah. What did I say?
You said 24, and then you said 32 at first. I got your notes right in front of me, man. Just read your notes verbatim.
34-23.
There you go.
I watched most of this game. I saw that Notre Dame took a 7-0 lead, and after that, it was pretty much all Ohio
When did
State
you
after
tune
that.
in?
I tuned in just after they scored their first touchdown. Notre Dame did.
Okay,
And
because
but I had it on.
I
I
watched the
had it
beginning
on.
of this game.
This is why I don't like doing this over the internet. I had it on last night. I had it on sometimes with sound, sometimes without. I had it in the background. I was doing some other stuff. Yeah, I was there for most of the game, but I wasn't really into it because I knew it was evident that Ohio State was going to win.
Yeah, I watched from the beginning. That first drive by Notre Dame was incredible. It literally ate up 10 minutes of that first quarter. I was like, wow, if this is how this game is going to go, this is going to be over with in no time. Notre Dame's not giving Ohio State the ball, but I figured Ohio State would score quick. So after the 7-0, 5 minutes, Ohio State gets the ball finally for the first time the whole game. And they take the ball to the end of the quarter. So Notre Dame ended the first quarter up 7-0. And then Ohio State went on to score 21 unanswered before halftime. And that's when I was like, you know what? Looks like Ohio State's got it. I know it's only a 2-touchdown lead. I was tired. Obviously we were sick here. So I was like, I'm just going to go to bed. And looks like Notre Dame made a little bit of a comeback, but it was just Ohio State. It was not, Ohio State was clearly going to win this game. There was never a doubt in my mind except for after that first drive. But once Notre Dame couldn't recapture that magic they had, I knew it was over. Ohio State could just do practically anything they wanted. So as much as we hate that team here in this state, congratulations to them. They were the best team.
Yeah.
Now back-to-back years, Big Ten teams winning the national championship, which is a big deal, I think, for the Midwest up here for the conference. Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot that we'll have to dissect and break down in the future about just how this playoff worked out and what needs to be done and changed. So I don't know. I do think the best team ended up winning the whole thing, but I think their path to get here couldn't have been more difficult.
Yeah, there's already talk about expanding to maybe 14 teams next year. It looked like having the top 4 teams have a bye did not work out for any of those teams, so they might change that up. Who knows what this 12 team or whatever playoff system is going to look like next year? We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, there were some problems. There were some good things about it, but a lot of things that could be tweaked and made better.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm hoping to detail it in an upcoming piece. Still working on it. But the fact, I think reseeding is a big issue. They got to reseed, and I think you got to stick with your top 12, and you just got to seed them accordingly. Like, that's a big crux of the issue, I think, with the way this tournament played out. And there's an element where I think you just got to knock it down to 8 teams. And that's it. I think 12 might be too many. Yeah. As much as I was all about 12 teams, I was all gung ho about 12 teams. Let's do it. But I think 8 teams might be the sweet spot.
Well, I seriously doubt that they're going to take teams away.
There's no going back. Yeah, there's no going back now. Yep.
But yeah, maybe they should have gone to 8 and then maybe 12 in a couple of years after they, try to work the bugs out of that.
Right.
One of the notes I had from the game was you had pointed this out to me, but I knew about this. Notre Dame cornerback Charles Dew, who's a junior,
a genius.
Had his name in. Maybe he is. I don't know. Going to Notre Dame, but he had his name in Chinese on the back of his uniform, which I thought was kind of cool. I had seen that about a week ago or so, and I posted something on our Facebook or X pages. Of course, you never looked at that, so you wouldn't have seen it. But yeah, you brought that up again, so I posted it again yesterday.
Or is it you post so much stuff that it just gets buried? I think that's what happens. No, I saw this when I was watching the pregame last night, and I saw that, and I was like, that's stinking cool. Maybe I knew about this. I remember, I think Arizona State had a guy last year that, and I don't know if it's the same player and he transferred. No idea. But I think there was a Arizona State player last year that had Chinese or Korean, I forget, on the back of his jersey. Still, whenever something like this pops up, I think it's so cool that the schools let them do this. It looked really sharp, especially on that Notre Dame championship uniform with the shiny gold, nameplate, numbers, and all that. Just such a good look. That's something else about this championship game. What a classic college football look to this game. Notre Dame head to toe looked great. Ohio State looked like Ohio State. So and that stadium looked packed. Looked like there was a lot of Ohio State fans that got down there. I didn't see as many Notre Dame fans, but I'm sure they were there. It was just, I don't know. It just seemed like every time I saw a camera of the crowd, it was all Ohio State.
Well, you didn't know about this, but I got a text last night from Greg Tranter. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I just saw it on Facebook. But he was at the Bills game, of course, Sunday night. Then he hopped on a plane and he was at the College Football National Championship. He and his son were there to cheer on Notre Dame in Atlanta. So 2 games in 2 nights for Greg, a fellow Pro Football Research Association member, a good friend of ours. Incredible. I said something like, now there is a football fan when you when you watch your team win and then get on a plane and go see a college team play.
Those are 2 big games too. Like,
yeah.
That would have been like us jumping from a Lions playoff game down to a Western Michigan Cotton Bowl game. Like,
yeah. Well, when we went to the Cotton Bowl, the Lions were actually in Dallas playing a game, but we didn't have tickets for that, if you remember.
No.
Yeah, that was the night before.
Was it? I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was. We were in town, but we didn't have to get on. We didn't have to get on a plane and fly somewhere else to go see the second game. But he did, and I just thought that was cool that he did that.
I want to call BS on that. I don't think we were anywhere near the Lions playing down there. Otherwise, we would have gone.
I
want to call you out on a podcast where everybody's watching this, Randy, and I'm telling you, I don't think you're right.
I will look up those dates and compare.
Okay, all right, prove me wrong then. Where are we off to next?
The Dream Bowl, which is another college all-star game. It's not as popular as a lot of your other ones, but there was a college all-star game played on Sunday called the Dream Bowl, and it took place in Little Elm, Texas. I think that's why it doesn't get a whole lot of attention. But the Crusaders team defeated the Patriots team 28-17 in that game. So I'm trying to keep up on the different college all-star games that are going on this time of year. So we'll have a few more before the season's over with. We got some other college news. You're probably excited about this. EA Sports confirmed that there will be a 2026 version of their college football video game, which is going to be coming out this summer. You bought the one this year, didn't you?
I did. Yep. Played the crap out of it.
Was it good? Was it a good game?
Well, it's exactly what we wanted from a college football game. I'm sure there's people who played it a lot more than me. Shoot, if you were anywhere on the internet, see people playing it. But it was a big thing. It made a bunch of sales. It did very, very well. It's a very successful game. So no brainer. They're going to bring this back now that they got all the bugs worked out with NIL and putting players in the game. And I think it'll only improve, hopefully, and it doesn't become like Madden, where everybody's frustrated that they buy Madden every year and it's the same crappy game, or games that just don't get improved very much. So I'm thinking this version, though, they're looking at improving the game and probably updating like stuff at hopefully schools, stadiums, and other stuff. So we'll see. I'm sure it'll be another big smash, and everybody will be playing it when it comes out.
Okay, yeah, I'm not into video games, but I know you and your brother Aaron are
Shocker.
Totally into the college game, the NFL game, whatever. So I defer to your opinion on those. I don't have an opinion.
All good.
Okay, Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers has declared for the NFL draft. Of course, this opens up the door for Arch Manning to take over as the starting quarterback next year at the University of Texas. I kind of thought that might happen this year once he, had a year under his belt. But they went with Ewers this year. They had a good season, but now he's gone. Going to go to the NFL.
Yep. Ewers, I don't know what it was about him. I was never super impressed with him. Clearly good enough to help his team get to the semifinals of the, college football playoff. But I think everybody who's not even a Texas fan is waiting for Arch Manning. I think that is going to draw eyeballs. Everybody's going to be interested in Texas because of that. Not just, fans, but scouts, GMs. Everybody's going to be looking at the Longhorns. And look, the Longhorns already have a big reach across the country. I think this is just going to make it even crazier this year. So we'll see. We got bits and pieces of Arch throughout the season. He kind of came in relief a couple times, or he'd be come in for certain types of packages. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know if he would have started right away just because of his name recognition, or if he was just humble enough to hey, let Cam finish out his year, let him declare, and then I'll take it from here.
Yeah. Yep. In some more college news, the College Football Hall of Fame class of 2025 was announced, consisting of 18 players and 4 coaches. I'm not going to go through everybody here, but some of the highlights of the players: quarterback Michael Vick from Virginia Tech, defensive lineman Michael Strahan from Texas Southern, defensive tackle Haloti Nada from Oregon. And here's one, you're probably not familiar with this guy, quarterback Terry Hanratty from Notre Dame. Do you know what his claim to fame is?
Having a crazy last name, apparently.
No, that was Terry Bradshaw's backup quarterback for all those Super Bowls that Terry went to. Hanratty played hardly anything at all, but he's sitting there with 4 Super Bowl rings, just like Terry. So yeah, that's Terry Hanratty for you. Yeah, there was a bunch of other players, some from smaller schools, some from bigger schools. Like I said, you can check out the entire list of players and coaches at the College Hall of Fame website or the National Football Foundation, which is where I got this list from. The 4 coaches: Urban Myers, of course, Bowling Green, Utah, Florida, and Ohio State, coached for 17 seasons. Nick Saban, from your Aflac commercials. Toledo, Michigan State, LSU, and Alabama. He coached for 28 years. Both of those guys started out in the MAC conference. Isn't that interesting? And then there was Larry Blakeney from Troy University. He coached for 23 years. And Larry Corver, Northwestern College out of Iowa. He coached at that one school for 27 years. So those are your 4 coaches going into the College Football Hall of Fame. They'll be formally inducted in Las Vegas, I think, next December, like the first week in December. They have a big awards dinner and they do it all there. So congratulations to everybody that is inducted into the Hall of Fame. I know they talked to Michael Strahan on the NFL pregame show, talking about him being inducted in the College Hall of Fame. So, that got some of the coverage on the Fox pregame show. And then one score out of high school football. On Friday, it was the Polynesian Bowl over in Hawaii. Team Mackay defeated Team Mauka 28-21. It's another one of those ice all-star games, but it's just people from out the Hawaii, Polynesian area. So I think it's kind of cool. We'd like to at least bring everybody attention to these types of games. So.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess I can't put it off any longer. I guess we need to start taking a look at the NFL playoff game, so I'll let you take it from here.
All right, everybody, that's right. It was the divisional round in the NFL playoffs. 8 teams were standing before the weekend started, and 4 would remain. It started off Saturday afternoon as the Kansas City Chiefs, off of a bye, defeated the Houston Texans 23-14. Now, this is a game, I don't know how much of this you watched, Dad, but the Chiefs it took them a little bit to get going. That Texans defense really came to play to start, but eventually the Chiefs just wore them down. Kansas City just kind of had their way with them. Houston really, CJ Stroud got pretty banged up at a couple points. And a lot of the stories, obviously, whenever there's a Chiefs game, there's always people who want to blame the refs for helping the Chiefs win. And were there some calls in this game that were very questionable? Of course. It just makes it more evident to me that, I don't think the league would ever truly or would be able to pull off rigging a game for a particular team. I just think that's so hard to do. But the league needs to do something about some of these calls. There's just certain situations where I think crucial plays, like the play where Mahomes supposedly got roughed up or hit in the helmet, and they called it a blow to the head or whatever, but it was really 2 Texans players colliding with each other. But then the flag was against them for hitting Mahomes when they didn't really even touch Mahomes in the head or neck area. So there's that play. I'm sure there's another one I'm forgetting at the top of my head. It's been a couple days. But the NFL's got to have that expedited review process has got to start encompassing more as opposed to just where the spot of the ball is or whatnot. They need to look at some other stuff. Maybe not everything. Like, you could call a hold on every single play if you really needed to. But I think you got to look into, was that actually a face mask? Because there's, in some of these other games, they call a face mask penalty, but they just got the guy's shoulder. We've been victim to that. We've had it kind of go our way before. So I'm not saying one team's getting favorable calls or not, but it just would like to see more consistency when the NFL officiating has been the biggest, issue, I guess, with a lot of fans watching these games. Like, look, don't get me wrong, the Chiefs are a great team. I think they deserve everything they've got, but it doesn't help when it looks like calls are going their way because they can't make the right call on the field. And to me, that's what this game had a lot about.
Yeah, I agree with that. There needs to be more oversight by the eye in the sky, the ref up in the booth, where they can take a look at something real quick and make an immediate determination. There are some calls that you have to leave it to the ref on the field. If two guys are hand fighting or whatever, is it going to be holding? Is it going to be something else? That's kind of up to their discretion. I get that, so that's fine. But for something like this, where they said it was a blow to the head, and video clearly shows it was not, they should be able to step in and say, no, that was not, so that should not be a penalty, second down or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, at the end of the day, like a personal foul call, I can't remember if it was a personal foul or if it was different type of designation, but, that's the kind of stuff. A personal foul call goes against the guy, and he racks up 2 of those, he's tossed. So you want to make sure you get that call right. So I think they do need to just encompass a lot more with these expedited reviews. And these expedited reviews have been great whenever they've decided to apply them. It's weird when they want to and don't apply them. It's like, oh, you're going to expedite for that, but you didn't a minute ago when that would have come in handy for, so I just wish they'd get that more involved. It doesn't completely stop the game. There's times where we're shocked at how quick, hey, nope, it's we're marking it first out, moving on. Yeah. Like, it has moved the game along in a lot of instances.
Yeah, well, so many times. I mean, the announcers on the telecast can tell you immediately the minute they have a second look. No, his hand was not on on the collar. This wasn't. And watching it on TV, you can tell also. Yeah, that was not a foul, or that what the ref is calling it did not happen. So yeah, they need to get more involved. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that was my biggest takeaway from the Chiefs game. Other than with the Chiefs winning, they get to host another AFC Championship game, which means that's 7 years in a row now, something crazy like that.
Probably.
That team.
Not sure, I
mean, I do want to say real quick. I know everybody dogs on the Chiefs because they've won 2 straight Super Bowls and they've won 3 out of the last 5 or whatever it was. But why do we have a problem with great teams? I get it. Like, there's only 32 teams in the league, and only one can win. But if you're good, like, why is that a bad thing? Like, I'm not kidding. Like, it stinks because, like, we vilified the Patriots when the Patriots were great.
Yep.
We're vilifying. Like, remember when the Chiefs were starting to get good? And we're like, yeah, we like the Chiefs, and then it quickly turned. That happened with the Patriots. It's happening again with the Chiefs. Why do we have a problem with greatness? I don't know. I get wanting to see new teams and new blood in there. Well, then guess what? Get better, everybody else in the league. Clearly, the Chiefs have found something that works, and other teams are trying to emulate it. And I'm just tired of hearing people. Oh, I'm tired of seeing the Chiefs. Well, other teams need to get good then.
Yeah, I did. I was watching the game in the bedroom, and your mom was out on the couch watching something else, and I came out and I said, man, it's only the national anthem, but I've already seen Taylor Swift once during the national anthem, and she was there a couple other times, and Caitlin Clark was there in the
oh, that's right, yep.
with her. I was a little surprised to see that, but she was there.
Yeah, and for that amount of screen time that they showed Taylor Swift and Caitlin Clark, Randy, like, why even complain about that? Like, I'm sure they don't want the camera on them as much as people don't want it on them either.
Right.
But it's 40 seconds of your life. Like, we've probably gone over 40 seconds of this conversation, and you saw Taylor Swift that many times.
Yeah, I saw her 3 times, and I didn't watch the whole game, so I don't know how many times she was shown. But Is there a prop bet under or over on how many times they're going to show Taylor Swift during the Kansas City Chiefs game?
I'm sure there is somewhere. There's got to be. I'm not placing that bet.
No.
All right, let's keep moving on here. Let's get to the game that we don't want to have to talk about, but also Saturday night. The other number 1 seed, the Detroit Lions, for the first time ever, a bye week in the playoffs as the number 1 seed. They hosted the red-hot Washington Commanders, who just came in and, like Miley Cyrus, came in like a wrecking ball and took care of the Detroit Lions. To say we are heartbroken is an understatement. To say that the season was a waste might be up for debate, but there's one thing that can't be debated, and that's Jaden Daniels is freaking good.
Yeah.
He's a very good quarterback. They built a good team there in Washington, and they didn't get enough credit, I feel like, despite how good of a season they actually had. They were kind of slept on. I'll even say a lot of Lions fans, I think, slept on them, maybe us included. But look, the Commanders came in, and they pretty much had their way the entire game. The Lions looked rusty at times, and when they did finally start playing like they meant it, they make a turnover, and that's what killed them. And everybody wants to blame this banged up defense. The narrative of the 18 players on injured reserve all year finally caught up to them, and maybe there's an element of that. But when you have 4 or 5 turnovers during the game, that doesn't help. One of them was a pick six, and when that happened, that was a 14-point swing in the Commanders' favor. Otherwise, it probably could have been a little closer, but to me, it looked like the Lions had a bunch of rust, and they couldn't operate consistently.
Well, here's my take on the whole game. I wasn't blaming the defense. Yes, we could not stop the Commanders, but we made them work for every score that they got. They didn't always march right down the field. It took them a while to get there if they did score. Washington didn't make too many mistakes during the whole game. I don't think they had a second turnover or interception or whatever. So kudos to them. But the 5 turnovers is what killed us, because if you take those 5 turnovers away and you replace each one of those with a field goal, that's 15 points we would have scored. That would have been enough to give us the favorable margin in that game. So I'm not blaming the fact that we had a lot of people on defense that were out. We did all right that way. Not great, but we played well enough on defense to win. But yes, the offense with the interceptions. But even on offense, we did some really great stuff. I mean, that touchdown by Jamison Williams from Teddy Bridgewater, while our quarterback was on the sidelines. That's going to be a thing of beauty on replays for a long time. I mean, we had some great plays on offense, but it just wasn't enough. You can't overcome 5 turnovers. I know the Lions did at one point this season against the Texans, but you can't do it in the playoffs. The playoff teams are just too good. You can't do that, and we did. And so,
yep. And it's letting them score touchdowns after getting those turnovers.
Yeah.
Like that does not help. If you held them to field goals, maybe you can mitigate it a little bit. But man, they shot themselves in the foot. And then the narrative going around, and we'll get to our coordinators in a little while, but the narrative around the coordinators sabotaging the Lions, or they were too focused on their new jobs or going into other jobs, and that messed up the Lions fans. This is what baffles me. Look, it sucks that we lost. Okay? Lions fans, you listen, it sucks that we lost. But now you're playing the blame game, and it's ridiculous. Like, you're just finding anything and everyone to just start blaming. Ben Johnson, it's his fault. He was going to Chicago. He didn't care. It's all Ben Johnson. We hate Ben Johnson. The toxicity that's all of a sudden flipped in the last few days, I don't know how much you've been looking at it. It's been awful.
No, I haven't seen
Lions fans, this is terrible. We're better than this. Look, we were all getting kind of arrogant. Look, we had a 15-win football team. We had a 15-win football team that overcame so many injuries. And yeah, we should be proud of that. Maybe we got a little too arrogant. I admit that. I was feeling pretty confident going into that game Saturday. But I did also try to keep in mind, like, look, this is a good Washington team that could probably come in and spoil our Saturday. I figured if they were to spoil it, it wouldn't be as bad as it ended up being. But look, we could go on. You and I could talk about Lions all the live long day. Anything else you want to say about the Lions? I do want to give the Commanders some props here in a second, but I'll let you finish up any Lions thoughts.
The only thing I can say is that we really wasted an opportunity. This was Detroit's best opportunity in my lifetime to get to a Super Bowl. They had 15 wins. They had so many records, NFL records, broken this year, set now by the Detroit Lions. Home field advantage, number 1 seed, only had to win 2 games at home in front of our crowd to get to the Super Bowl. Whether we won the Super Bowl or not is another story, but the path to the Super Bowl went through our house. It was ours for the taking, and we messed it up with 5 turnovers in that game. I just hope we get another chance next year to be the number 1 seed again. And so instead of a lot of toxic talk like you're talking about, what we as fans need to do is get the positive talk going. Who can we pick up in free agency that's going to help us? Obviously, we're going to need some more depth at defensive on the defensive side of the ball. So who can we get to replace some of our injured players? Who this year didn't really play as well as they could have? Who do we need to get rid of, and who else are we going to bring in? Who are our new coordinators going to be? Who's out there that we can find? That's the kind of talk that we should be having right now. Not we hate Ben Johnson for taking the job. We're gonna hate our other coordinator when he gets another job. I do hate the fact that that Ben Johnson went to another NFC North team, but that's another story. So yeah, the positive talk is we can get back to the playoffs and hopefully a number 1 seed again next year and really do it right this time. I hope.
You said this is the closest we had. Look, I felt like this is the most confident in a team going into the postseason I was about getting to a Super Bowl. Obviously, we were a half a football away last year from making it to the Super Bowl, and we let that slip through our fingers. And here we are again, letting an opportunity slip through our fingers. And I'm hoping it's not a trend. I hope it's one of those growing pain things where it's like, look, this team's only been in the playoffs for the last 2 years. In this era of Campbell and Brad Holmes running the team. So hopefully it's just things that they can learn from, and they, next year can prepare better, because I felt like this was the team. It felt like it a lot this year with dealing with all those injuries. It felt like we were a team of destiny, and that turned out to be the team that beat them, and that's the Washington Commanders. Let's give them some love. Look, you and I both have friends that are Commanders fans. One specifically who you were texting. I texted a guy I work with who's a Commanders fan, congratulated him after the game. As hard as that was, I really couldn't muster up a whole lot. I know Mike sent us paragraphs of stuff. He was very kind, even though he and his Commanders stomped the crap out of us. But look, they've been a franchise just as in need of getting this far as the Lions. Granted, they've got 3 Super Bowls to their franchise, but the last several years, between the terrible ownership of Dan Snyder, between having to deal with the name change, having to swap owners, and just building a brand new football team essentially with Dan Quinn coming in this last season and Jaden Daniels in at quarterback. What is this team going to be? Nobody really thought they'd amount to much. Maybe they'd be a little better, but nobody expected this, I don't think.
Yeah.
And Jaden Daniels just putting together one of the greatest rookie seasons of all time has been impressive. And watching him, actually, this is like the first game I watched him start to finish, and he was absolutely as advertised. They have a great future quarterback, for years to come. I mean, he's 10, 15 years with this team, he's going to be something else. And they got a lot of good pieces there. And I'm very confident in saying that they could give the championship a run for its money next week.
Yeah, I believe that.
So, all right. Anything else about the Commanders before we move on?
Only that the Lions now have the 28th pick in the draft this coming year.
Yeah. Yep. Don't like hearing draft talk already. Then on Sunday, so because of that Lions loss on Saturday night, you can imagine, everybody, we were pretty. I don't know about you, Dad. You usually don't watch as much football as I tend to, but I was just out of it. I was depressed. I was kind of like, I don't want to watch any football.
Same here.
It was really tough. But I managed to catch a little bit here and there. But the Eagles defeated the Rams in very snowy conditions out there in Philadelphia. So the Eagles will host the NFC Championship game. They beat the Rams 28-22. I really don't have much from this game other than it looked a little sloppy on both sides. either teams could have won. The Rams had a shot to,
yeah, they
maybe
did
pull it out.
Yep.
So
in that final minute, yeah, they were right there.
Yeah, but Saquon Barkley, as advertised, I mean, he's probably the free agent acquisition of the year because clearly he has helped this team turn into, not a juggernaut, but he is definitely the guy they can lean on when they need something, and he is just a heck of an athlete, and has been a lot of fun to actually watch. And then Sunday night, the game everybody was kind of looking forward to lived up to the billing as the Bills defeated the Ravens 27-25. This game was crazy. I caught quite a bit of this game. The Ravens had their chances, but Mark Andrews had two such incredibly brutal plays happen to him where, one, he fumbled the ball and gave the Bills the ball back when the Ravens were driving. That was tough to watch. I was like, dang, the Ravens look like they're about to go down and maybe take the lead or make it a game. Ball knocked out. Bills take it down. I can't remember if they got a field goal because it was like a 5-point game. So they went down, kicked the field goal, and made it an 8-point game. So then Ravens get the ball back again. They march down the field. They scored the touchdown. It's like, all right, all they need is the 2-point conversion to tie this up and send it to overtime probably. And Mark Andrews just had it right there to tie the game up and just fell out of his hands. And that's your ball game. Heartbreaking stuff if you're a Ravens fan. Mark Andrews, one of the best tight ends in the league, just dropping that pass is just tough to watch because that dude's got surefire hands. And that bummed me out to see because I was pulling for the Ravens, obviously. I picked them in our picks this week. But, hey, kudos to Buffalo for pulling that one out.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched a good share of the second game. I watched some of the Eagles-Rams game, but I was doing something else when I got an alert on my phone saying that the Rams had the ball with a minute left and down by 8 points, and so I tuned in the game and I watched the end of that, and I was rooting for the Rams, but yeah, they just wasn't meant to be for them this year. And now the talk is, will Matthew Stafford be back next year? He might contemplate retiring. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But
I think he comes back. I feel like he thinks he's got a lot of football left in him.
Could be.
So we'll see. I think Stafford comes back. But So after those games, everybody, that sets up the NFC and AFC championship games next Sunday. And the NFC, you flip-flopped it on the script here, but Sunday it'll be the NFC. The Commanders travel to Philly to take on the Eagles. And then your AFC championship game, the Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs. These should be two interesting games. Our picks video will be up at some point this week. I already put up the post on the community tab of the YouTube channel if you want to go drop your championship picks there. The winners obviously will advance to Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. So, all right, with that, let's jump on over and we'll talk some NFL news, Dad. What we got?
Well, Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson has been hired as the head coach of the Chicago Bears. We thought he was going to leave last year. He decided to stick around, said he had unfinished business. And now he's going to the Bears. I hate the fact that it's the Bears, in our division where we got to play against him twice a year. I don't like. I'd have been happier if it had been somebody else, in one of those other 6 openings, but not in our division.
I hate it. I thought for sure he wouldn't want anything to do with that organization.
Yeah.
I thought for sure he would steer clear. I don't trust that general manager. I've said that for a long time. Ryan Poles, I don't trust him. Do they have they have the talent? I can't deny that. Caleb Williams, the Romo Dunze, they've got the receiving talent. They've got players on defense. I just don't trust your general manager, and I definitely don't trust your ownership. To me, Ben Johnson, unless he's come in with a plan to get Ryan Poles in line, I don't know. This could either, it's either going to go the way of, is it going to be like Josh McDaniels and he's going to burn out, and everybody's going to want him out of town in no time because, offensive guru, and he hasn't lived up to the hype, or, could he turn into a Sean McVay or a Kevin O'Connell or something like that? We'll have to wait and find out. The NFC North is a tough division already.
Yeah.
I think Ben Johnson will bring some creative stuff to that team, but at the same time, he's the head coach. He's got to oversee a lot. Right. He's not just he can't just be scheming up offensive plays. I mean, it depends on who his defensive coordinator is. There's rumors he's already hiring Dennis Allen, the old head coach of the Saints that got fired this year, as his defensive coordinator. So he's already making staff moves, apparently. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. There's a video of him already going into the Bears facility, getting his warm welcome. Look, I wish nothing for the best for Ben Johnson. I think it sucks you're going to Chicago, but hey, it's what he wanted to do. It's a place he feels comfortable and thinks he can win. We just got to beat him twice a year now.
Yeah.
This is all we got to do.
Just because you're a good coordinator doesn't mean you're going to be a good head coach. And, I wish him the best, and we'll see. He might be a great head coach, but, so many people put so much stock into, he's a great coordinator. We want him for a head coach. This guy doesn't know how to be a head coach. He knows how to be a coordinator, but not a head coach. So you never know when you get a coordinator like that, how they're going to be. So we'll have to wait and see.
It'll be interesting. This is the first time in my lifetime that a Lions coordinator has been poached. And a lot of Lions fans are definitely, I wonder if that's something why they're all extra butthurt. We've never had coaches poached before. Like, why are you guys taking our guys? Like, leave us alone. What did we do to you? It's new for us. And I get a lot of Lions fans just don't know how to handle that. And the fact that the last time this happened to the Lions, I want to say, if I saw the stat or the note correctly, was Don Shula was the last guy that got poached from the Lions coaching staff. And, became a head coach elsewhere. And clearly, Don Shula, one of the greatest coaches of all time.
Right.
But
yeah, he went to the Baltimore Colts and then to the Miami Dolphins. But
so
I hadn't thought about that, but I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's the last time it happened. And what was that? The 60s, 70s?
Yeah.
Late 60s, maybe?
Late 60s, early 70s.
Okay, so late 60s, the last time that we had one. We're in an off season where we're going to lose 2 coordinators to head coaching positions. Like, unfathomable. Because right now, Aaron Glenn supposedly, New York, the Jets are looking at taking him and trying to get him signed today. I'm waiting to see if there's any breaking news.
Yeah, good luck there, Aaron.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Look, I'm sure under Dan Campbell has, his coaching staff has been kind of built in such a way that he seems to welcome wanting to help his coaches, and they all kind of learn from each other, and they've kind of, he's already said Aaron Glenn is very head coach ready. Yeah, his defense didn't play super great, but I mean, in that last game, but he's got that head coach mentality that I think he could pull off. But we'll have to wait and see how it all shakes out. And no head coaching hiring isn't for certain. I mean, every year there's 7-8 coaches. Remember,
right.
All the hot names last year. How many of them everybody's waiting to get kicked to the curb already? So
yeah, really.
It's a what have you done for me lately business, and we'll see if these organizations actually give some of these guys the time to develop their plan or what happens with them. So be interesting moving forward. That leaves us with 5 teams still with head coaching vacancies. The Jets, Saints, Jags, Raiders, and Cowboys all still looking for their coaches. Like I said, we'll see if the Jets make any sort of announcement by the time we're done recording today.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. And the last thing in NFL news was that it was announced this week that the Indianapolis Colts, an 8-9 team, has been designated as the home team in this year's international game in Berlin. We talked about it last week, how the Browns, Jags, and the Jets are all going to be playing in London, and they're all some of the worst teams we've had. So here's another team with a losing record that is going to go on to play overseas in a spotlight game. Couldn't pick any better teams, NFL? I don't know.
Look, I was thinking about this. Now that the schedule, they got the 17 games. There's the rumors that came out this week that they might finally jump up to the 18 games. But the schedule right now is back and forth. Like 1 year, the NFC teams have 9 home games. Then the next year, the AFC teams have the 9 home games to 8 away games. So this year, all the AFC teams, and it's been all AFC teams that have been named as the teams for the international games.
Yeah.
So to me, it makes sense that, look, you're not really losing that home game because, it's
right.
Extra, because this year you only had 8. You're still going to have 8 next year, but now 1 will be a international game. So a handful are going to lose a home game to these international days.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I hadn't realized that it's all been AFC teams that have been picked to go overseas so far.
I just looking at your note there, I was like, wait, AFC, AFC, AFC. It's
Okay, yeah,
I just connected a few dots right there.
okay. Well, let's move on to some other happenings in the world of football, and we're going to go over to the CFL up north in the Great White North. Their 2025 schedule has finally been released. Last year, I think it was about 2 weeks after the regular season was over with in November. Early part of December, the schedule came out, and they've been doing that the last few years. Here it is January already. They hadn't released the schedule yet, but it finally was released this past week. The preseason is going to begin Monday, May 18th. Your first preseason game in the CFL. They play
May 19th is what you wrote down here.
May 19th. I'm sorry. Um, with the preseason games, the regular season is going to begin on Thursday night, June 5th, with a game between the Ottawa Red Blacks at the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and the regular season is going to end on October 25th. Uh, as usual, the schedule consists of 18 games over 21 weeks, with each team getting 3 bye weeks. The 112th Grey Cup Championship game is going to be played in Winnipeg on Sunday, November 16th. Ironically, there will be no Touchdown Atlantic neutral site game this year in the league. That's been kind of a staple every year. The ones they played this year was on that island off of Vancouver, Prince something Island. I forget the name of it.
For the Touchdown Pacific.
Yeah, Touchdown Pacific instead of Touchdown Atlantic. They go with Touchdown Atlantic because they've been trying to get a 10th team on the Atlantic coast for several years now. Last year they went to the Pacific for a neutral site game, and I kind of hate to see that go because that was a really nice little diversion from everything going on. It was something just a little special. Two teams just playing in a different setting, a college stadium or something over there. That was always kind of fun to watch, but they're not doing that this year for whatever reason. I haven't really heard why. And let's see. So that's it for CFL news. We did want to thank a gentleman by the name of Ethan Reese. He's the host of the Daily Sports Podcast, who gave us a shout out on his January 1st episode. Yeah, yeah, we were shut out until he gave us a shout out on his January 1st episode about the first AFL championship game, and he told us he was going to do that. He said, "I'm planning to, give you guys a shout out." I guess he likes what we're doing, so he came through. He did just what he said he was going to do. So we're reciprocating and telling everybody to check out the Daily Sports Podcast with Ethan Reese. We linked up his episode where he gave us a shout out on our X and Facebook pages, so you can go there, check out some of the other stuff. He's got some really interesting videos out there on different games and stuff. And the one he did on the first AFL championship game in 1960 was pretty interesting. So please take a moment and check him out. Give him a like. Maybe even follow him if you want. He's doing some good work there on football history, and we appreciate that.
He is. The last I saw, he was taking a little bit of a break.
Yes.
Focusing on some family health stuff, but we're hoping everything's all good, Ethan, and getting back to it. And anxious to see what kind of stuff you cover in the future. That's for sure.
Yeah. Keep up the good work. Okay, today's birthdays. Running back Peyton Hillis turns 39 years old today. He played his college football at Arkansas and was selected in the 7th round of the 2008 NFL Draft by the Denver Broncos. He played 7 NFL seasons. He was with the Broncos from 2008 to 2009. He's with the Cleveland Browns from 2010 to 2011. He was with the Chiefs in 2012 and the New York Giants in 2013 and 2014. So happy birthday, Peyton Hillis. We do have 2 obituaries to talk about. This is where we take a moment to honor those who've made the world of football a better place. The first one is that of Herschel Turner, an offensive lineman in the NFL for 2 seasons, has passed away at the age of 82. Turner played college football in Kentucky and was selected in the 2nd round of the 1964 NFL Draft by the St. Louis Cardinals. He was also selected in the 9th round of the 1964 American Football League Draft by the Oakland Raiders. He signed with the Cardinals and played 2 seasons with the team in 64 and 65. His playing career was cut short due to a knee injury.
And our final obituary this week is that of Paul Villano, a defensive tackle in the World Football League for 2 seasons, has passed away at the age of 72. Villano played college football at Maryland and was selected in the 14th round of the 1974 NFL Draft by the Chicago Bears. However, he signed with the WFL's Florida Blazers and played 1 season with the team in 1974. The Blazers lost to the Birmingham Americans 22-21 in the 1974 World Bowl Championship game. He was playing for the WFL's San Antonio Wings in 1975 when the league folded due to financial issues.
All right. Lastly today, our upcoming events calendar. A few things I've added here in the last week. Thursday, January 30th, the East-West Shrine Game is going to be played at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Saturday, February 1st, the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. Sunday, February 2nd, the Pro Bowl games in Orlando. Sunday, February 9th, Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. And on Tuesday, February 11th, it's going to be our last show for a while before we take a break. We usually do. The last couple of years, we've been taking a break after the Super Bowl before we get into the indoor and arena football league seasons. So we plan to be off for about 4 weeks, and we'll be back on around March 11th when the arena football league season and I guess the NAL are both kicking off that particular weekend. So we'll be back and start covering indoor and arena football at that time. And then on Saturday, February 22nd, the HBCU Legacy Bowl, which is another All-Star game, is going to take place in New Orleans. And I believe that is the last of the college All-Star games that are going to be sprinkled out over the next month and a half or so. And that's it. That's everything that I had that I think we need to talk about today. So unless you saw something else, any coaches get signed by any more teams before we call it a show?
So far, no breaking news. I will take a quick gander on the Twitter and make sure that Adam Schefter hasn't dropped any, news bombs here in a second. Let's see. Oh, well, 33 seconds ago, Vikings and head coach Kevin O'Connell have reached an agreement on a multi-year contract extension. Per sources, he was scheduled to be entering the last year of his contract, but no longer. There were those rumors going around that the Vikings might trade their head coach. I don't know if you heard those a while back, but yeah. No. So that literally just popped up. So the Vikings locking it in with their coach. So, look, he's not a bad head coach. We'll see if he's going to be up for Coach of the Year this year. Dan Campbell, who knows? It's anybody's guess at this point. So,
but who will the Vikings quarterback be next year? That's the next saga that's going to happen.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of drama that'll unfold there. So
yeah.
The NFC North will be much more interesting than it was this past year. And it was very interesting this year.
Yeah, it sure was. It kind of came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting Minnesota to be that good. I figured Green Bay would be good. I didn't think Chicago would be very good. So it surprised me that everybody in our division was really good for a good share of the season.
Yeah, and Chicago, look, as much as I dogged them, and look, they lost 9 straight or whatever it was at the end of the year before they won that last game. Yep. They were in some one-score games. They had their opportunities. They just couldn't finish. And, at the end of the day, your record is your record. And the Bears, the Bears won 5 games. So we'll see. The, quote, best division in football, which ironically got knocked out of the playoffs after 1 game apiece.
Right.
Could they be back next year even stronger if the Bears come to play? Could that be a whole other thing? Which teams take a drop off? Is it Detroit after this letdown? I mean, who knows? Anything's up now.
Yeah. Keep to all the fans out there, keep positive thoughts on next season. We've been doing it for many years here in Detroit or here in the state of Michigan, so we know what it's like.
We still have a Super Bowl to show for it.
But we're close. We're very close. Just like those guys on.
I've been saying that for 57 years.
The Curse of Oak Island. We're this close to finding the promised land. So we'll get there sooner than later. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during our podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can also follow The World of Football on Facebook, X, Instagram, where the address for all 3 of those is TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast to hear us on whatever Alexa devices you may have. You can also find the full audio version of this show on our YouTube page. Just enter the World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle at the World of Football in the YouTube search bar. So please spread the word, subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation.
Yeah, no audio podcast on YouTube this week. They get the video version of the podcast for once.
Yes, I do.
Thanks to some illness.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us guys sitting here in Kalamazoo on different parts of the town talking about football. Until next week, when we'll try and do a better job. Yeah, right. I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm Adam Snow.
And we'll see you all next week.